All the stuff they taught me to do in church, I was doing. They told me to develop a strong prayer life. I had that. They told me to develop a strong devotional life. I had that. I think at that time I was practicing something called the daily office. So I was pausing 3 times a day to center myself and connect with God. I was living right, managing my morals, managing my ethics, and still had a panic attack. In 2013, I had the privilege of speaking on a few, what I've affectionately entitled, pregnant platforms. Everybody say pregnant. Dr. Dharius, what's a pregnant platform? When you say pregnant platform, what do you mean there? I mean an opportunity that is impregnated with the possibility of producing other opportunities. One right stage can lead to 100 more. Pregnant platforms. Now, this is the interesting thing about pregnant platforms and how pregnant platforms differ from pregnant people. For the most part, after a certain degree and after a certain time and tenure of pregnancy in people, then you can tell, generally speaking. But pregnant platforms don't always look like pregnant platforms. There are some platforms that look pregnant and we expect them to produce other opportunities that don't. And then there are other platforms that do not look pregnant at all, but those platforms are pregnant with the possibility of producing those other opportunities. This is why you always have to make a commitment to be consistent no matter what platform or opportunity you have, because you don't know which one is going to be the one that gives birth to some other ones that can change the trajectory of your life. Somebody affirm this like you mean it. Say, pregnant platforms are in my future. That side believed it, this side didn't believe it, because you don't even see you the way you need to see you yet. You don't even believe you got something significant to say. You're not even convinced that through all of the experience and the adversity that you have had to overcome, that there's some value on the inside of you that needs to be released to somebody else. And it is your personality, your temperament, your style, your vibe that's going to resonate with them in a way that nobody else can. My sheep know my voice, another one they will not follow. Some people won't get it from nobody but you. It's the way you say it. It's the way you release it. It's the way you write it. It's the way you program it. Pregnant platforms in your future, pregnant podcasts in your future, pregnant YouTube shows in your future, pregnant interviews in your future. There are some platforms that are pregnant platforms. And I had the opportunity to steward some pregnant platforms that produced all sorts of opportunities that, like a trampoline, thrust me into a stratosphere of influence and impact and income that I had not experienced that at that level, at that stage in my life. I was literally traveling all over the world speaking, landed first book deals, monetizing my gifts in ways I never had before. It was an amazing year, and by many people's standards, I was winning. I was being lauded and applauded and celebrated and congratulated. People were aspiring to achieve some of the things I had achieved and to have opportunities to experience some of the things that I had experienced. Because to the outside eye, and even in my eyes, I was winning. I was managing my life morally and ethically, so spiritually, I was winning. I was producing and managing and stewarding my resources properly, so financially, I was winning. I was doing my best to develop myself. I thought I was winning. Then one day, in October 2014, I woke up early one morning with my whole body shaking. I sit up in the bed. Coach Shamika wakes up, looks at me and says, "Baby, what's wrong?" And I literally could not articulate a coherent thought. And many of you won't be able to resonate with this or relate to this, and I'm glad. I hope you can never relate to what I'm about to describe. The best way I can describe it is I felt like my mind was leaving me. Not like leaving my body. I just felt like I had thoughts that were uncontrollable. And I was trying to talk myself into tranquility and peace, and I could not. I was just overwhelmed, and my body was shaking, and I felt like my entire world was falling apart. I'm laying in a bed that should give me amazing sleep. I'm in a home that should give me all the room that I need. I've got resources in the bank that should have given me financial security, but I'm waking up literally feeling like I'm losing my mind. And the only thought, this is why spiritual intelligence is the foundation of every program we have. There's nothing wrong with people who are people of faith who do not include their faith into their programming the way that I do. But my success is built upon the foundation of divine intervention. And it is disingenuous of me to teach you success principles by leaving out the person that is primarily responsible for my success, because it was no meditation that got me through that moment. It was no confession that got me through that moment. It was no affirmation that got me through that moment. The only logical thought I could conjure up was this: God help me. And I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how much influence you possess. I don't care how strong your network is. There are going to be some seasons and some situations where the only reliable remedy are these words: God help me. God help me. I know what to do. And all of a sudden, I felt my heart rate slowing down. I felt my mind and my thoughts becoming coherent again. And as I come to a calmer place and position, my wife said, "What happened?" I said, "I don't know." So I can't remember exactly. Part of it is a blur after that, so I can't remember. I don't want to misspeak. I can't remember exactly what we did, if we called a counselor or spoke to someone. And what they said is, "Dharius, it seems to me what you just described was a panic attack." Panic? One thing about Dharius, he's steady. Oh, no. One thing about Dharius, he don't flinch. It can be falling apart. He don't flinch. Steady. Pause. No. Not me. I don't. Panic? I said, "Dharius, you know that the same adrenaline that is released when you're afraid is the same adrenaline that's released when you're excited." Darius, you didn't have a panic attack because you have anxiety. You had a panic attack because you're overextended. You're traveling all over the country speaking. You're in 2 building programs. You're finishing a book and finishing your doctoral dissertation, trying to be a husband to your wife and trying to raise 2 young kids. This rocked me a little bit theologically because I was doing all the stuff the church people told me to do. All the stuff they taught me to do in church, I was doing. They told me to develop a strong prayer life. I had that. They told me to develop a strong devotional life. I had that. I think at that time I was practicing something called the daily office. So I was pausing 3 times a day to center myself and connect with God. I was living right, managing my morals, managing my ethics, and still had a panic attack. And at that moment, I got a revelation that caused a revolution in my life, and it is that revelation that has produced these programs that are represented here in this room. I got this revelation. God is enough, but Sunday is not. I'm going to go to this side. Because we want the real that thrives. Yeah, we keep it real in our programs. God is enough, but Sunday was not. That Sunday helped me live right, which was important, but it was not enough to help me live well. Because at that moment, we got a revelation, Darius, you need some help. And the help I needed wasn't a sermon. I'm not saying I didn't need sermons. I'm saying sermons wasn't all I needed.